In all the Wize growth firms that I look after. Why use NPS for staff and clients? So to give us a bit of an introduction, I'll share a little bit of my own insight in using NPSs and kind of what got me over the line, so to speak. And then we'll jump in and hear from the original mentors themselves, Ed and Jamie, on the topic. Believe it or not, out of all the Fab 5 KPIs, this is the one that I kept saying to Ed and Jamie and the rest of the team. I don't really need this. I know that my staff are happy. We're mainly working in an office together. I know all these guys. I can tell if they're sad or not. And it was all fine until we had a shock resignation that was completely out of the blue last year. And it wasn't an offshore member that resigned. We actually had an onshore member resign a little bit earlier. That was completely out of the blue as well. So there was two of them, come to think of it. And I had to kind of eat humble pie, as they say in Australia, and say to Ed and Jamie and the rest of them, I don't really know my staff, how they're feeling as well as I thought. That's when I started using net promoters for the staff. That was a big one for me. Clients, I can leave that to Ed and Jamie to talk about, but you might work with only onshore staff. They might work in an office like I do, like pretty old school. Even then, it's shocking what you don't know. People might not feel comfortable telling you if they're having issues with their immediate report. And I think sometimes when you're all together, people are even less forthright because you're all together. So I think whether or not you're a distributed team and you never see the person day to day, there's no cafe to mill around and chat about personal lives and how they're going. Whether or not completely distributed or all together, I still think there's a pretty strong case to be made for net promoters. And in Australia, we have a thing with ethical letters for the North Americans who are joining us. You get an ethical letter when a client leaves. I don't think that's necessarily the case in America. And what is the case in America, I'm sure, is you get a resignation letter when someone leaves. And so just like with clients with ethical letters, so the same with staff with resignations. I don't want to be blindsided by a resignation letter. I want to know when one's coming, so I'm prepared for it, and I've got the team set up so it can handle losing that person. And so I think in my own firm, my own experience, net promoter scores have been very, very useful for that. Ed, do you have any, we're just running out of time, do you have any one action item that you'd recommend if people are hesitant to jump into this and are still thinking it through?
Yeah, it's not as scary as you think. And I remember, Tim, when I started working with you, you were quite far behind in lodgements, and things are quite chaotic. And we obviously, if we sent things out in the middle of that, then you're going to get some negative feedback. But we did it anyway. You got it all fixed up. Today it's much, much better. So don't not do it. Just, it's not as scary as it seems. You should be looking forward to the feedback from your clients and looking at improving what you're doing. If your staff doesn't know, if your senior client managers don't know what the clients are thinking, they're not going to know how to improve. But if they're getting this feedback from their clients, then they know what to target, what to spend time on, and what to emphasize in their service. So it's not as scary as it seems. So just do it, and start off with the ones that you feel positive, and then do it right across the board. And of course, you can improve on your sending the work out to the clients. Like often, the staff just does the work and send it out to clients to get signature. If you want to improve your NPS scores, then make sure that, if it's a small return, make sure you call the client with the result. If it's the large one, make sure you have a client approval meeting before you finalize the work. That client approval meeting, it may only go for 10, 15 minutes, but that's going to improve your NPS scores. And you'll make a huge difference to the whole process.
I can definitely echo that. Ed, one of our 4s or 5s was purely because we didn't do the sign-off call and the client was used to it. Yeah. How easy is that? You talk to the client and you get a 10. You don't talk to the client, you get a 4. I mean, that's really all it is. So yeah, thanks so much for that, Ed.